So I want to preface this entire conversation by showing my age. It was really weird to see Dumbledore being such a dickhead in this movie. This is like, without a doubt, one of the greatest performances in cinema history. If not, like, I was reading some articles and I was doing, again, the research necessary to put on a show of the quality of this one, depending on how you look at it. And Dennis Hopper is mentioned in Blue Velvet, along with our dear friend, Mr. Michael Gambon, in The Cook, the Thief, His Wife, and Her Lover. And I would think that that's a pretty apt comparison, only if you're trying to downplay how insane Michael Gambon is in this movie. Because I genuinely find his character in this movie to be so off-putting that I can't stop watching it, which is the sign of quality, right?
Albert Spica would destroy Frank Booth.
Right.
I don't even want my beloved Frank Booth to be in the same room with Albert, to be honest. I'm
Right?
like Frank, because it's like Frank Booth is like, I get it, but I have like such love and I feel weird sort of twisted joy with watching Dennis Hopper as Frank Booth. Like, I mean, Blue Velvet's a movie I've watched numerous times. Michael Gambon is beyond brilliant at everything, but he's really, like, his performance here is so fucking good and he is compelling. But I haven't seen a film where I've wanted a protagonist to get fucking hurt and violated like Albert since like Alex Terenzi's Femme de Sade. Like, this guy, I mean, holy shit. But Michael Gambon, I forgot he was Dumbledore, by the way, because I've only seen the first 2 Harry Potter movies, and that was Robbie Coltrane, I believe.
Yeah,
Richard Harris. Richard Harris, Dumbledore.
I don't give a shit.
Robert Coltrane plays Robert Coltrane plays Hagrid, which to be fair, Hagrid is a great character, and Robbie Coltrane is perfectly cast. Heather, I don't give a shit. I'm
Harry Potter either, but however, Richard Harris is a fucking giant.
No, I love Richard Harris. His cover of MacArthur Park. Well, he did the original. His version of MacArthur Park is mentioned. Now Donna Summer's cover, and it's phenomenal. I listen. I'm not the Harry Potter person, obviously. No offense to anybody that loves it. It's been a week. It's been a week for the lady over here, okay?
Look, I get it. I think the thing I'm more angling at with the showing of the age is I understand now why they cast Michael Gambon as Dumbledore. And I actually, there's a moment in Harry Potter that seems very Albert Spica of Dumbledore. It is the Father Malone. You know what moment I'm talking about, right?
Yeah,
Dumbledore delivered the line calmly in the book. However, in the movie, it was not calmly delivered at all.
Bellowing is the word.
Yeah.
And nobody followed the
lawyer. Like,
does he say, "Cool, blimey, you couldn't organize the rape at a brothel"?
Please.
Michael Gambon.
Harry Potter.
Michael Gambon is the best thing in Tim Burton's Sleepy Hollow as well.
Man,
when I think of him outside of, get out of here. There's nothing really good in that movie except
I know. Christopher Walken is so hot when he kisses Miranda Richardson and all that blood.
Yeah, I know. All the goth girls went crazy, but listen, that is not the Headless Horseman. That was all a mistake with the filed teeth and everything. Anyway, Michael Gambon is fantastic. Fantastic here.
Yeah.
The singing. You know what, Chris? I'm actually glad you brought that up because I knew Michael Gambon primarily from this. This was the first thing I ever saw him in. So when he got to Dumbledore, I'm like, wow, yeah, man, he can just do everything, this guy. But it occurred to me that there's a generation now that's come up with this guy as this benevolent father figure.
Right.
And now to look back on his past, I was thinking today, I want to cut together a little like Dumbledore remembers like his past and cut in Albert Spica doing all these despicable things. Like it's got to be jarring for somebody like yourself.
And then Dumbledore told me to stick a train up my ass. Yeah, you're right. I knew he was in this movie, obviously, but yeah, it's a little disarming for this guy to be so well loved by so many people my age for something that, again, is very father figure adjacent, even though one would contend his character is, again, complex and then is ruined, but he's gay. I promise he's gay. And speaking of being gay, I am your host of the Culture Cast, Chris Stashew. Still, And I'm joined by my two good friends all the way from Noise Junkies and Dark Destinations, Father Malone.
You're all cannibal.
And all the way also from Noise Junkies and MondoHeather.com, Heather Drain.
Good evening. And my apologies again for being so spicy about the Potter universe. But I do love this movie. I'm looking forward to diving in.
And yeah, we're talking about a little film that I had never seen before to give it away, but I know was important to Father Malone and Heather. You obviously wanted to be on this episode, so people have opinions, and I want to hear them. We're talking about 1989's The Cook, the Thief, His Wife, and Her Lover.
It's the controversial film Time magazine calls excellent, exciting, extraordinary, diabolically funny, raves Rolling Stone. The Cook, the Thief, His Wife, and Her Lover. Rated R.
The film is directed and written by Peter Greenaway, and it stars the aforementioned Michael Gambon, as well as Helen Mirren and the voice of the ring himself, Alan Howard. Helen Mirren plays Georgina, or Georgie, as he keeps calling her, over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. A couple who, Michael Gambon is the titular thief who goes and gets himself ingratiated and essentially owns a restaurant by the magic of strong arm. He goes and eats at the restaurant every night with his troupe of pals and players, including Tim Roth and Helen Mirren, who plays his wife. His wife then finds a lover at the restaurant, played by the aforementioned Alan Howard. And, wouldn't you know it, Michael Gambon finds out, and all hell breaks loose in what can only be described as some of the hardest to watch scenes I've seen in quite some time, if not ever. Father Malone, I'm going to kick it to you first. I am very curious, and I know that this movie has a very special place in your heart. You don't have to go into the too personal stuff if you don't want to, but I want to know when you first saw this, what you thought then, and I know this was not a second time rewatching just for this episode. So
I saw this in April of 1990 at the Assembly Square Lowe's, a movie theater in Somerville, Massachusetts. I was attending with my high school girlfriend, and she was actually wearing my coat at the time. I had read that this movie was going to be in a local cinemaplex and not in an art house downtown in Boston, and was thrilled to go. And while waiting in line, my girlfriend went and got in the concession line, and we were waiting on the little holding pen for the next screening. And I was standing next to a gentleman with a tape recorder and a beanie, and he evidently was a reviewer from the Phoenix, which was a local, like an LA Weekly type independent newspaper in Boston. And he and I were talking about Peter Greenaway, who I knew of but had never seen any of his films. And this man could not believe that a Peter Greenaway film was playing in a multiplex at the end of a mall, basically. He could not believe that an anarchist film such as this would be playing in such a consumer nightmare. And my girlfriend at the concession stand called my name and waved to me, and I waved back to her and the concession girl. And so my memory of the night was then seeing the movie and then remembering this British journalist. Years later, not years later, because later that summer, I got a job at that movie theater, and the girl who had waved to me, the concession girl, did so because she was admiring the buttons on the lapels of my girlfriend's jacket, and saying that she was into every single thing that she was into, thinking it was her jacket. And then she had said, "Oh no, that's my boyfriend's," and pointed back over her shoulder to me. 17 years later, I married the concession. So this movie has an incredible place in my heart and mind. But I don't want you to think that any of that will color my analysis of the film. But it is incredibly important to me. It's an incredibly important film to me, just in general. But it is also kind of freighted with this life-changing moment.
Heather, I kick it to you.
Well, we should have had Bungalow go last, because neither one of us are gonna follow that tremendous cinematic, beautiful, magical story.
I let him go first because I knew that's what it was.
God damn. Well, now I'm just gonna be like Queen of the Horse shit, but that but that's okay. I will wear my crown gladly. No, that's beautiful. And I'm also very jealous you got to see any Peter Greenaway film in a theater, period. Because that's amazing. My encounter with this film is my two early memories of it was when all the controversy and the ratings battle it happened, which is funny because if you look it up on IMDb and even Wiki, there's really barely, if any, a hint of that. But this was a big deal. And I think it's really important for people to always remember any sort of potential for censorship and suppression that art goes through. So that's why that's probably the reason why I'm bringing that up now with this. There is, especially after seeing it, because it's like, there's nudity, there's violence. It's a movie for adults. This isn't Pixar. So just, the MPA is stupid, is my point. But I remember the ratings battle. I remember it played on Cinemax, and I was like, I knew it was like Artie. I knew Helen Mirren was in it, and I wanted to see it. And then on top of that, my English teacher, because I'm in high school in this time period, Miss Ragland, who was a really great supporter of my writing early on. And that was long before I even thought I could ever write public professionally, or, I had no faith in my any sort of ability in that arena. But we both loved art films, and after class, she was telling me about it. But she would tell me about films that she wouldn't mention to other kids. Cause I grew up in Springdale, Arkansas. It was a very conservative area. But she was like, she's like, there's this beautiful, singing in this film. And she kept talking about the choral boy singing. And this is a woman I wish I would have kept in touch with. She's the one that got me to see Breaking the Waves, which traumatized me, but I'm grateful for it. And unfortunately, I only ever got to see parts of this movie. I could never find it to rent. And the one time I caught it on cable, I caught it piecemeal. And because I was still underage and living obviously under my parents' roof, they woke up and I got freaked out because Helen Mirren's in the bathroom stall with her lover. And I was like, oh shit, I'm going to get in trouble. So I switched it to, MTV, and I never got to finish it until recently. When you sent us the list and said this was up, I was like, oh, finally, I could finally see this film that's been kind of haunting the periphery of my brain for fucking years, and finally see what my teacher had been recommended. Yes, it has taken me that long to see this movie. In my defense, Peter Greenaway is a filmmaker who, despite being this amazing auteur and one-of-a-kind visionary, his films are ridiculously, almost his entire filmography are out of print. Still.
Chris, I hope when you played the trailer that's currently on the Plex server, which is the video trailer for Vidmark's release of the film, where they make it sound like it's a romantic comedy, Rolling Stone says it's deliciously diabolical. Ah.
I honest to God loved that trailer. When I saw that trailer, I was like, what is this movie then? Because this is not at all what I thought. So I had never seen this before. I knew the only thing I actually knew about it was how much of an impact it made on you, Father. I think specifically, I had heard you tell that story before. So I was like, I know nothing about this movie. Actually, take that back. The only thing I knew was the cannibalism thing. I knew that there was some cannibalism at some point. That's all I knew. And as a big fan of cannibalism, that's not okay. Let me take that back, because there is a world of ways to be taken out of context there. I'm not a fan of people eating people. I'm a fan of cannibalism in pop culture, because when it's done right and done interestingly, it's done really well. And
Ravenous.
Do what?
Ravenous. See that movie?
Still never seen it.
Oh my God, it's the cannibal movie.
Huh. Yeah, that's the one with Guy Pearce, right? Where they're in old French Canadian period piece, correct?
No, it's just the American wilderness. It's
American wilderness. I thought it was
like on the Canadian border, basically. But yes, it's a Wendigo tale with Robert Carlyle. It's very, very good.
It's come up twice in the last month now, so I probably will now set aside time to watch it. But that's all I knew about the movie, was the cannibalism angle, and again, how kind of important it was to you, Father Malone. So that may have swayed me putting it on this list. But But again, this month is all about movies that are food centric or have food at the center of them. And I mean, most of this movie takes place in Le Hollandaise, which is the restaurant. So either in the front of the house or the back of the house. I mean, there's very little outside of that. There are parts that take place outside of it, but they're not as much as there is in the restaurant. But I'm glad that it's all in the restaurant for a number of reasons that we will obviously get to. This is a really wild, intentionally off-putting movie. I think it's a visually dense movie in a lot of ways. I think there's a lot going on. It feels like an important movie. There are parts of this movie that felt like they're important for everything ever in terms of human existence. I don't know how else to describe it. There were moments in this movie that were arresting, and that is hard in this day and age as someone who watches as much things as we all do to be genuinely arrested by something. But there are several moments in this movie that are genuinely arresting. All that being said, what a good horror movie, right?
What a good comedy.
Right. Like, what a good monster
tragedy. Movie. What a great romance.
Right. Like, and that's the thing. Like, it is so many things at once that it is its own thing. And it being its own thing puts this movie in a special group of movies that are kind of undefinable, but that makes them what they are in a lot of ways. And this movie is up there. This is actually a fucking insane movie. I swear to God, before I watched this movie, I thought it was based off of something else. But to find out this is just its own thing is even more impressive, I feel like. And also, I have to say it because, again, certain people of a certain age may not feel this way. Man, she's really good looking now, but Helen Mirren in the 80s and 90s, like, whoa. It's insane. Like, because she's amazing looking now. And it's 2023. This movie came out 34 years ago. Like, yeah, everybody in this movie is good looking except for Michael Gambon. I mean, you got to draw the line somewhere.
At the turn of the century, when everyone got hip to Helen Mirren, I not only thought of her here, but I thought of her from a decade earlier when she was in Excalibur. Like, she has always been a luminous being on the cinematic front. And but to me, this is the role I think of when I think of Helen Mirren. It's a fantastic performance. As much as he bellows, as much as Michael Gambon bellows and rages, like she does just the same with her silences in this film. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Every performance in this movie is fantastic, right?
Yeah, and surprising sometimes in that I have seen this movie. I saw this movie once in 1990. I saw it again about 17 years later, and then I watched it again 2 nights ago, and then was struck for the first time that the tall, menacing George Harrison lookalike was Kieran Hines from the HBO television series Rome and Munich and every Russian agent of the past 20 years or so. My God, he's so light. Not only is everyone good, it is, as you said, Chris, everyone is beautiful here.
Yeah. Like
Tim Roth, this is his first thing, and he's so fresh-faced. It's like he came out of like somebody carved him.
Yeah.
So Tim Roth he's baby Tim Roth here, but Tim Roth in the 80s, like, even though he was definitely more like kind of small supporting role, this role in this film to me almost feels like a progression from, he was in Ray Davies' short film Return to Waterloo as like this punk, as one of these punks that kind of like seemed like quite as menacing here, but definitely a little like scruffy. And honestly, Tim Roth has always been such a star because even in that, he's in that movie for like 3 minutes. And even then you're like, oh my God, I love this guy. Like he's so good. And think about it, this time period, like this may be a little bit after. I'm trying to think if it's a little bit after or before Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead.
No, this is before.
It have to be, right? Yeah.
Following year, when I found out that Sid Vicious and the guy from Cook Thief were going to be in one of my fucking favorite teenage existential fucking comedies. Holy God.
Whoa, you said teenage? It still smacks so hard. I love it. I read it once a year. It's a hard read, but it's a good read. I disagree. I fly through that fucker. No, but you know what I mean? Like, it's hard in terms of like the existential dread comes right back every time you read it. Yeah. Oh, it's a breezy read.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so yeah, no, that's I love Tim Roth. Also, if anybody can get a chance, see Return to Waterloo. Like, it's a crime. And yes, it's the Ray Davies from the Inks. Like, yeah, but he made this amazing short film called Return to Waterloo that is like one part musical, one part kind of like really horror per se, but there's like sort of a threat of like a killer on the loose. There's possible incestual leanings. Like, it's such a cool thing. But yeah. I mean, but here, like, Tim Roth is totally like this kind of like slimy, like dumb kind of parrot to Albert.
100%. Yeah. It's like he's Albert in training,
which is terrible. Like Albert, the one Albert's bad enough, but though some of the comedy, like, because both of you are right. This is a movie. This is a horror. It is a romance. It's a comedy. The comedy comes out in these weird moments. So I love it. Like, because right from the beginning, at one point early on, there's a play on words because where it says Spica, like Albert's last name, it looks like it's twisted and says aspic, which for anybody unfamiliar, aspic it's like gelatin, but even just more like disgusting. And like basically people would bake foods in it because I think people were just trying to stay really skinny in the 50s and 60s. So it's just like, let's make food as unappetizing as possible so nobody wants to eat it.
Let's suspend it in Jell-O. Let's suspend slices of chicken in Jell-O.
And clear, like here's shrimp and you know, a piece of mango floating. Yeah. And though I will say the album Lark's Tongue and Aspic is really good.
I like that seeing aspic at the beginning spelled out for us. It certainly didn't dissuade my imagination at the end. The glaze on the body. I certainly had a flashback to aspic being flashed earlier in the film.
Oh wow, I didn't even think of that. Because I think the glaze I was just thinking is like that sugary like honey.
Oh yeah.
Oh, but aspic is I could totally see that.
Gross. Made it work.
It's you mentioned, Heather, there's like, you know, like the idea of like this, the thing you were mentioning, Return to Waterloo with Tim Roth, like that has many aspects to it. There's so much going on here. Like it's really hard to pin any one thing down because if you take what Helen Mirren and Alan Howard are doing out of the movie, it's a softcore porn. Like essentially straight up in terms of just the way it's being presented, in terms of the way that it's being presented to the audience, but then the fact that it's in everything else, that there are horror movie aspects, there are aspects of other genres going on, not really an action movie per se, but again, like a mobster film, a crime film, which again has its different kind of moments like that. But yeah, there's just so much going on that again, like, I don't know how to suggest this movie to people. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of hard in a way to be like, you should check this movie out. I do want to suggest it, but how do I describe it to you?
I forgot.
Here's the thing. And not only is it an important film because it can hop so effortlessly between those genres, which is a near impossible task for any film, but it is also one of the most artistic films and most lavish and sumptuously filmed movies you're ever going to see, where you're going to get theatricality because all of the sets are definitely sets. I mean, the opening shot is we crane up to this set on from behind. So I think this is one of, I'm sorry to wax rhapsodic almost immediately here, but like it is to me one of the most important films. It's in my top 10 or top 5 probably, regardless, as a piece of living art. Like so, I mean, there are fun movies that you can pop on anytime and watch that can kind of straddle genres and deliver in a narrative fashion what you want. This does that too, but it also has a lot more to say, and it has a lot more to let you interpret on your own there.
Yeah, I would also, I mean, this is just art. Like if you want to see cinema realized at its highest potential, or at one of its highest potentials, this is that film. The fact that it has these different elements, to me, that's one of the things that makes it great art, because what is art but a way for us to process the tapestry that is life? And life in and of itself has love, and it has beauty, and it has lushness, and it's fucking horrible, and it's violent, and it's ugly. And it's absurd. This is life. And, this film captures each one of those elements. It's so funny and probably very telling about people's like sort of puritanical mindsets, because so much of the ratings issues and a lot of the talk about this film initially was pretty much almost completely solely seemed to be based on like the nudity and the sex. Never mind all the horrible violence you see. Like, it's okay to see a woman get stabbed in the face with a fork. That's fine. That's fine. You know, having somebody be murdered via forced torn pages of their favorite book into their body. Not to mention a beautiful tow-haired, like, angel of a child tortured. Not a problem. Oh my God. These two people were naked and they were making out. And I saw a penis. Oh, Lord. Oh, we can't have that. It's so fucking stupid. Like, you know, this isn't, it makes me so mad that people are so like, I mean, not everybody wants to see gory violence or, you know, explicit sex. That's fine. It's a flavor. But if you want to see something that is well made in art and that has the human experience and the condition, here you go. And to be honest,
can I just say about the ratings thing? Because I totally agree with you, obviously. But they're going unrated rather than accepting the X. I think actually got it into my local cinema. Like, the furor that it caused, I think, made this Greenaway's most financially successful film. Now, I don't think the ratings board were right. And I think everything in this movie you can just now probably show on television. Like, would this even get an X rating? This would just be an R, right? If that, I mean, it would be R. But it certainly wouldn't go unrated or NC-17, I don't think.
I think, didn't they change it to NC-17 for later physical releases? Because
they may have. Did they re-rate it to like, like Buster shelves or something?
Oh God, don't even get me started on that. Like that, well, people.
No, there are two versions. Two versions of the film came out. Like they had this horrible cut to shit videotape version, and then they had the original theatrical.
Yeah. Lest anybody like any nostalgia for Blockbuster would never carry unrated movies. Like they would only carry censored versions of films. So fuck Blockbuster. But yeah, no. The thing that's interesting, and it's kind of cool because I've actually for a separate project was reading up on revisiting John McNaughton's Henry Ford of a Serial Killer, because I've been reading up a lot on the actor Tom Tolles, who's amazing. But they had the same thing with Henry, because they wanted to rate it. The MPA wanted to rate it X because they have disturbing moral tone. That was legit the reason, because there's most of the violence is implied in that movie. It's not graphic.
Which is what makes that movie so fucking weird.
Yeah, that movie is legit one of two. There's one of two movies that have truly gotten under my skin, and that's one of them. And
same.
And it's a masterpiece, because it's a great movie on a lot of levels. But they just went ahead and released it unrated finally. And that's, I mean, no such thing as bad publicity, but it's kind of bullshit. But anything, but like with The Cook, the Thief, his wife and her lover, I'll use the same defense that I'll use with that I've had to use in the past with like filmmakers like Steven Sadian or Roger Watkins, is that, fine art has explicitness in it. So when cinema goes a little more explicit, why is that all of a sudden like, oh, this is smut or that's offensive? You know what I mean? Like Picasso has explicit sexuality in his art. Egon Schiele, any number of art. Not to mention fine literature. Of course, a lot of those books tend to get like censored too. But you know what I mean? Like, so why, I've always tried to be like anybody that has an attitude towards cinema should rethink it. If it's still not your thing, that's fine. Like, I don't want to watch a lot of movies just because it's not my thing either. I don't want to be a gatekeeper, but this movie's fucking phenomenal. I mean, right down to the soundtrack, like the Michael Nyman score. And this is a guy I always associate more with the piano. Like,
absolutely. Yeah. But a great, I don't want to call him a minimalist, but certainly like a new wave of orchestral thinking from Michael Nyman. If you haven't heard, because he put out an album in, I think it was 1968 called In Re Don Giovanni, which is like a near rock version of Don Giovanni. That's a spectacular thing. And the score here, you're absolutely right, Heather. It's gorgeous here. It's propulsive and wonderful. Like it makes the cello sound appealing.
Fish Beach. I mean, right? I don't know, like the way it's used so sparingly but perfectly throughout I felt like I had heard it before somewhere else. And obviously, I mean, I've heard it.
Probably heard it on NPR at some point.
Right. It's kind of what it feels like.
It is perfect transitional music. I could have just imagined Ira Glass speaking over.
But the way that it's used in this movie is in one of the more poignant scenes of the film. And it's played throughout that scene. And it is, again, it's what it evokes is hard to describe unless you've heard it. But I think it evokes a similar idea anytime you listen to it. But again, the theme of the movie, I feel like, at least for me, the big takeaway is the idea of, I guess, love existing in the world of reality, and that real love can exist in spite of all of these terrible things existing around it. And that, there is, even in the quiet moments, literally in this, that those small semblances of time that one can take are important, because the world is a cruel place, period. The end. And it is. I mean, you've mentioned it, Heather, a couple times now, the idea of like fine art being, having an explicit nature to it. It's just being honest. Mm-hmm. Reality fucking sucks. Life fucking sucks. And finding any moment of solace in life from all of the things that do suck should be important and should be, I don't know, recognized as something worth fighting for and holding on to. And that is, again, I think that's obviously one of the big themes, if not the big theme of the movie. But yeah, for whatever reason, for me, Fish Beach it sounds like that idea for whatever reason.
Chris, I often thought of myself as thinking of this movie in too facile a way, like because it opens itself up to analogy and analysis and interpretation to the nth degree. But ultimately, to me, that what I've took away from it on its initial viewing and each subsequent viewing is that on occasion in life, there are moments when a glance with another human being allows you to connect with them. And that simple act can start a revolution, which is what happens here, because everyone eventually recognizes in this restaurant the tyranny that they've been living under and how it should not be and how they'll no longer stand for it. It's that moment.
And we live in boorish times. Honest to God, I may take this part out of the podcast, but I just want to say it, and I'll be the one to say it. How has no one ever compared the character that Michael Gambon plays to Donald Trump? How?
Because we're tired of talking about Donald Trump.
But you know what I mean, right?
Yes,
like,
because you know what?
It's the most horrific and on-the-nose portrayal of someone without it specifically being about that one person.
Greenaway said that he set out in writing the character to make a villain who's a true brute who you couldn't secretly be rooting for.
The way he talks at dinner is just, that for me was it. Like, he could do everything else is whatever. You know what I mean? Like, obviously everything else is really terrible as well. But the fact that this guy is talking about the things he's talking about in this restaurant is just like.
But you know what, Chris? It points to the fact that there have always been this type of person. Thugs with pretensions toward an air of nobility. Thugs who think that they're more cultured than they are, who, because they are in the position, no matter how they got there, no matter how slimy a fucking human being they are, that now that they're there in amongst the rarefied air, that they'll now somehow like absorb culture.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's weird though, because I think, and this is how I'm about to phrase this is admittedly kind of like simplified, but I find in life there tends to be two types of what I call true villains, because I think most people we're all various shades of gray. Like I don't think most people are truly like 99 to 100% fucking terrible. Some are close, some are very close, but the true, like we're talking like that 1% of evil. It's either going to be that type, like the Michael Gambon character, like it's going to be Albert, or Trump, if we want to call that. Or it's going to be the people that basically their insides are Albert, but they have enough sort of like sociopathic mimicry to seem like more likable, and people like, and that's the only really different, because I find like, and I don't give a shit. I'll get political. Art is political. life is political. Whenever people say, oh, I just want to talk about movies or music and not politics, it is fucking political. It is political in so many ways, 6 to Sundays. You want that First Amendment right to have art expressed without censorship? Fucking politics, baby. Living is politics. It's that I've seen people defend, prior people in power saying, well, at least it's not Trump. And it's like, yeah, no, they're probably worse because people were like, oh, but he seems like a nice guy. It's like, no, criminal is criminal. Awful is awful.
Doesn't matter if he wears it on his sleeve or not.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if he talks about eating ball sack at the dinner table at a high-end restaurant, or talking about just like, I think the thing that really got me was, never had breast milk. Like, yo, dude, what? Like, as you're touching your wife's breast, you're like talking about breast milk. Like, man, you're just without reproach, motherfucker, aren't you? Like, I don't know, man. Like, he's so off-putting in this movie in a way that is like genuine. Like, I'm not sure I could ever see Michael Gambon as anything else now.
He's so good. He's like so good.
It's like a transcendent performance, but the worst kind. You know what I mean? Like the one where it's like somebody had to do it, and I guess it was you, man. But the scene where he has his breakdown after he finds out that this bookish Alan Howard is just going at it with his wife. He goes proper apeshit in that restaurant for what feels like 10 minutes, because it is 10 minutes. It's the most extended scene of destruction in a movie by one singular person I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, and you keep thinking, and actually there's so many parts in the movie where you think that, but that one especially where you're like, surely to God, somebody's going to stab him or like put the beast down. Because
if not now, when?
Exactly. But again, like how many times in society do people do horrible things and you keep thinking, surely to God, somebody's going to stop this, and nobody does, whether out of fear, usually out of fear, actually. And especially when it's the guy with the money.
Yeah.
And it just, oh God, he's so awful. And the fact that he has the lion's share. And in fact, I loved the point earlier about Helen Mirren's performance, because you're right, so much of hers is more just like, it's her reaction and her physical presence. And she's so fucking good, which we all know. I mean, come on. If you're listening to this and you're not already worshiping at the altar of Helen Mirren, come to the table and get ready, because she's a goddess. But yeah, I mean, he has so much dialogue and he rules it. It's such a masterful performance, and you really, really, truly hate him. But it's not just because he does terrible things. It's Gambon. Gambon makes it feel so authentic, and just like he is like just a. I mean, I don't want to say animal, because I like animals. Like, he's the worst kind of animal, which is human. This is our TED Talk.
He's a rabid animal. I mean, he's just there's no stopping him at any point. The only way to stop him is to feed him his own crime, like, and force him to eat it.
Can I just say that is my favorite part of that whole character's journey, is that he is completely irredeemable. He seems to have no end to his depth, but he is disgusted by cannibalism. So not to jump ahead, but you jumped ahead, but to have this character who we finally brought up something that he is disgusted by, and then he's forced to do it. And then Helen Mirren delivers the line, the cannibal, which is my favorite end line in any film ever, and is, in my estimation, when people mention the word righteous, I think they tend to think of somebody like shouting mightily, but I don't. I think of Helen Mirren saying cannibal at the end of this, because it is such a moral judgment on this guy, and it's the one thing that he did not want to do. I don't know. I adore this film.
I'm with you 100%. Like, it's the journey that she goes on. I mean, obviously Alan Howard is sacrificed on the movie's altar, but necessarily. And it's unfortunate because he's such a likable character. You know what's coming, but you don't want it to. But you know it has to, because somebody has to have judgment passed on them for this, so that someone else can pass final judgment on that person, which is what happens. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel like Alan Howard almost could get lost in the shuffle of this movie with all the other performances because what he's doing is so understated. And so just kind of perfect, though, for what this movie needed in terms of the third, arm of the title. I mean, again, the cook is maybe the least represented, but realistically, he's the most represented depending on how you look at it. Physically not represented, but represented through other means.
He's represented by everything. His staff represents him. They're constantly flurrying around, like it's his restaurant ultimately, even if Albert believes that just because he forced some guy to eat dog shit that it's now his.
God, I fucking Albert. I loved the cook. And he really, like, in a way to me, he's almost like sort of like a moral center because it's like he basically helps love kind of foster and bloom by giving, Georgina and Howard like a safety area. And there's all these beautiful, which, oh my God, like this film is a masterclass. And if I actually taught cinema, to aspiring filmmakers, I would be like, watch this movie. And this is a masterclass on color and lighting and composition and texture. And, because it's like film is such a powerful medium when it's used properly. And, I just find like so many people just kind of like just phone it in. And I'm not talking about like low budget. I've seen like plenty of low budget films, including like shot on camcorder stuff where they're like, hey, here's a huge expanse of a sky and a color of a field. And, and it's like, yeah, they're getting that color in there. Like, Hollywood, why are your films look so bland half the time or more than half the time? Like, watch this movie. Like, it's like going to an art gallery, but like the coolest art gallery, not pretentious or anything. Just rapturous, just absolutely rapturous detail.
Yeah. You know what's
the right amount of pretentious, Frank?
Oh, I don't.
This movie doesn't any pretension at all.
And in terms of like, in terms of just the production, no. But I'm talking about in terms of the qual. I don't know. It could be interpreted that way. I mean,
this movie is entirely artifice. Like I said, it's all sets. It's all very theatrical. Like, at no point are you given like even down to dialogue for the first half hour in this film. Michael doesn't say anything, and when he does, he finally talks about how he saw a movie where the lead character didn't say anything for 30 minutes. So it is constantly reminding you how fake everything is, and yet a part of the alchemical magic of this film, what the artifice does is it makes the characters deeper because we're never given really any rich backstory to anyone, but we don't fucking need it somehow with all this artifice behind them. It not only makes that occur, but the violence seems to magnify geometrically against this sort of artistic background. The violence is fucking horrific. The disgusting parts are disgusting, and the beautiful parts are fucking beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm curious though, Chris, like when you feel did anything come across to you personally as pretentious, or is it one of those things where you're kind of being like, if somebody's a new viewer, and especially if they haven't watched a lot of art house?
Yeah, it's not, I did not find this movie pretentious at all because again, for me, I understand that the way it's being framed is this is taking place on a stage. So like the amplification of this, I mean, that's the way stage plays are. It's operatic in the level of things that are going on. Like again, you mentioned tragedy at the top of this, Father. I'm talking about the idea that if you were like the uninitiated would be like, Jesus Christ, look at the sets. It's like, okay, again, this is intended here because of the way it's being done. But I don't know. I mean, the fact that you saw this movie, Father Malone, in 1990 in a strip mall is still crazy to me because of how much this movie is. But that's the intent of the movie, is it's not meant to not be a lot. That's why Jean-Paul Gaultier does what he does for this movie. He wants this movie to look the way that it does. But it looks like a pretentious movie, but it's not. I agree with you 100%. It's not, but it looks like it. But that's the intention of the filmmaker.
Oh God, I love the costumes.
Because like you've already mentioned, to your point, the Michael Gambon character is all about the artifice. He literally has no idea what he's talking about with food. He's just spouting bullshit constantly. But there's nothing behind it. And you would just hope in real life, people would see behind the goddamn artifice at some point. Obviously, this character is we're forced behind it. We know that there is nothing behind it. But again, like in real life, it's not as cut and dried as this movie wants it to.
I with the whole stage setup, I love that. I love it when filmmakers do that. And it is also a really great thing if you're somebody who's super very tuned in on things like lighting and kind of layering, you have so much more control over how things are going to be lit and how colors are going to show up when it's all like a theater type setup. Like, I know, like, not to mention, Chris obviously is my favorite filmmaker ever, and I'm writing about him, yada, yada. But Steven Sadian, like whether it's Cafe Flesh or Dr. Calgary, like everything's at a natural setting, even when it's a natural setting. But that's why he's able to just manipulate it like this master painter. And Greenaway, like legit, I believe, I'm a little rusty, so if I'm wrong, forgive me. But I believe he actually has like that painter background, like that fine arts kind of background. And it shows. Like, even if he doesn't, he might as well be, because like even the way the food, like when you have like, day one and it's a different menu, the way the food is laid out on the menus, that alone is so beautiful. The way that the rooms change colors. You have like, and the vibrant, like here's the, like the restaurant interiors, vibrant crimson red. The bathrooms are like a stark white with little pale bits of pinks and yellows, and where the cooks are, it's green. It's like an emerald green almost. One of my favorite scenes lighting wise is when it's one of the love scenes, but it's like, they're shrouded by like what looks like in the background bodies of pheasant, like dead pheasants. But like that back wall's like almost like a black green, like black going into emerald green. And their bodies are lit with this warm golden glow. It's almost like what they call golden hour glow, like when you right before it's dusk. And it's so beautiful. I didn't even think about this film I didn't even personally like find it erotic, but just like the way the bodies are lit, it's to me like what you do for portraiture when you're painting, when you're doing nudes. It's not so much about like, hey guys, check out the tits on, it's nothing like that. It's more just like, look at the human body, look at the composition.
Greenaway is a painter. And obviously, and what struck me then, and now even, are like all of the sets are set up side by side on the soundstage. So you can just track laterally, and they track laterally a lot in this film. And I know it's been compared correctly to the movement of food through the human body. Like every time we go in and we come out like that way, like,
right.
And usually after they've gone to the restroom, which is ironically the cleanest room in the entire building. But not only does it mimic that motion, but what I was struck by was it felt to me as if we were seeing a giant mural and slowly walking the length of a gallery. Like you track laterally while you do that and go back and look at other parts that you may have missed. So like the painterly aspects of Greenaway's work, like are sort of fully on display here, and wonderfully so.
Oh man, that's so cool! I didn't even think about the food journey through the human body. I love that. The whole like theming of the rooms, right down to the colors, made me think of this. Roger Watkins, who's probably best known for Last House on Dead Street, but in 1982, he made a really excellent film called Corruption. And there's this whole sequence where it's almost like descent into the inferno kind of thing, but each room progressively, like there's the red room, there's the blue room, and then by the time you get to the black room, it's literally death. And I kind of like wondered, I wondered if Greenaway saw this film, like maybe not, but it's both films would be kind of an interesting like double feature. And right down to like, there's that great sort of dialogue the cook has towards the end about when Georgina asks him about like, well, how do you price things? Like when the menu changes, and he talks about how black foods are the more expensive, like black currants and black grapes and caviar and truffles, because it's people eating death, and it's giving them the false illusion that, one can conquer death. And, just like, wow, I love that whole thing. The cook is he's such a cool character. I loved Richard Boeringer's performance as the cook. It was really nice to see an English language film have a French character that is played by a Frenchman, because sometimes when people that aren't French do French accents, to me, it's always a little bit in danger of sounding like John Cleese, and holy, it's my outrageous French accent. Like we've all seen some of those films. Okay. It's kind of like when people not from the South do Southern accents and all of a sudden it sounds like hee-haw. It's not good unless it is comedy.
Unless it is hee-haw.
Yeah, hee-haw's fine. But yeah, like, did you guys love, like, I love some of the real small characters in the kitchen. Like, they're like the saucier, the long-haired saucier that's like, he's shirtless and up until the very like end, and then he puts on his finery for like Albert's, cannibal moment. I love that fucking guy. Like, I don't know what the saucier, he looked like a member of the French Prague group Magma. And I was down. Every time I saw him on the screen, I was like, there's my boy. There's the saucier. I love it.
Reminded me of the Flying Karamazov brothers, that troupe of jugglers from the 1980s and 90s. Like, when we first meet him, the movie starts and we're tracking through the restaurant for the first time, and we're going through the kitchen. We spot this guy. And then all I could thought was, man, the health codes ain't up to speed, right? Like,
he makes the best sauce though. Like, anybody who's worked in the kitchen, the guy that's the closest to the health code violation is going to be the guy that's like, it's like you eat the food and you're like, dude's legit. He's probably on meth. You might not want to get too close to him.
He's the bread guy. It's the guy that Bourdain talks about in Kitchen Confidential as the bread guy. He's the guy who's like in the basement of the restaurant making bread, and it's like, wizardry and alchemy coming out of there, but it's like, we don't ask questions how he does his thing.
That's not too.
Right. I do like the amount of food on screen in this movie. I do like that, because again, movies about food, sometimes the food is not given kind of the moment that it needs and the importance. And this movie, I think, does a good job. Similarly to yourself, on the last episode, we talked about Babette's Feast, which took me 17 years to watch, and it was worth the wait. So I don't know, like, this movie treats food the same way that movie does, with a level of reverence that it is transformative for the people involved in the meals, especially at the end of this movie. But I think also throughout, it's just every meal is one more nail in this motherfucker's coffin for all of these people. And it's just, at some point, there's no more room to put the nails in the coffin. So now we got to bury the guy. But, when it takes a long time to get there, but I'm glad that the food is given that moment of like, yes, this guy is a boorish asshole, but we do get to see him eating good food. It's just this guy, poisson. Yeah. It's like, oh, fuck, man. Like, I am reviled by this human being, which is perfect.
Of all the disgusting things he does in this movie, the one that actually turns my stomach is that the cook keeps making special dishes for Georgina, little desserts. And at one point, she goes up to the loo. She's actually going off to meet with Michael. And the thief, Albert, like, lifts the dome and then pours like generous amounts of salt on it, and then he dumps in like vinegar on the table, and then he knocks his own glass of wine into the plate, and all the while doing this thing that like lots of British comedians would do, which is like look in the air like, oops, whoa, what a bad boy am I. And what ends up on that plate is so goddamn, it's like worse than anything I'd seen in the movie or to come on.
Yeah, I don't know, like I like Michael Gambon is tapping into something that feels so real that it's just, I don't know, like he gets lost in this performance, and it's fully realized. Like, and again, like, I'm not saying that every actor doesn't do this, but for whatever reason, again, it's because Michael Gambon's a fantastic actor. He just, every scene that he's in, it's a one tick on the dial worse than it was the scene before. And that I mean, that had to have gone into this performance, because by the end of the movie, he is a babbling idiot. Even without the cannibalism going on, he's completely lost it by the end of the movie because of everything that happened, because he's been emasculated, as he believes, by someone else. But again, he has been emasculated by his wife, the way he perceives. And then she fully emasculates him at the end, deservedly so.
Okay, you spoke at the top of this, Chris, about this character is Albert Spica is homosexual. Is that what? Because at a certain point, Georgina says, like, he doesn't even like girls. And
Right.
everything we hear sexually seems to be non-sexual. It all just seems to be kink, which I'm not kink shaming in any way. And like the kink part of this character is not the despicable part of the character, except the way he goes about it, which is just seems to be more violence, right? So now I've heard it argued either way, that like he's a heterosexual with this problem, or he's a closeted homosexual, and like that's driving it, part of what drives his rage. But I would say that he's just non-sexual. I just think he's a fucking horrible human being who's going to hurt no matter what gender he's involved with.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't know if I would personally read his character as homosexual. The kind of the intense insertive predilection that is mentioned by Helen Mirren's character is, and I don't know, it's a kink. So I don't know, I didn't read it that way. Like, I don't know. If anything, like some of the other things I read was like, this is Greenaway's take on Margaret Thatcher's Britain. And it's like, I mean, okay, sure. But I would say most of this movie still fucking rings true right now, which is, again, it's the 80s again, folks. It's just not as fun as it was back and then, back in the day.
It wasn't fun then.
I know. I was being ironic.
People were more blind because they had like the sort of American rhetoric of like, oh, Ronald Reagan, he's a good old boy.
What do you expect? You got girls on film.
You talking about the Duran Duran song?
Yeah, you got Duran Duran.
That song.
You got Duran Duran. Everything's all right and fine.
Don't you dare bring Duran Duran.
I love Duran Duran.
I do too.
I'm not saying it's bad, but I mean, I get it. Like, I was more making a joke of like, let's remember the 80s through the lens of fun songs that came out. It's don't remember all the shitty stuff though. Duran Duran and Flock of Seagull.
They always said, like, forget about the boat video. Like, that wasn't us. Like, that was just part of the feel-good thing that they wanted us to be. So I understand what you're saying, Chris, but, like, take Duran Duran off the table.
Oh, I love Duran Duran. I'm not throwing shade at Duran Duran. One of the best Bond songs. Hungry Like the Wolf. New Moon on Monday, which is a criminally underrated song. Love that song.
Seven and the Ragged Tiger, baby.
Yeah, baby. That's who likes that album?
That's a good album. I totally get it, Chris. And that's a problem, I think, with nostalgia in general, though. I mean, because think about like how I've seen like the whole 50s trip, and not to get too sidetracked here, but like in the 70s, like you have Happy Days, and then even in the late 60s, you got like Shine It On. You got all this like that. Imagine
we talked about Forrest Gump earlier this year. I mean, that's fucking part and parcel to that.
And the 50s were fucking horrible. Like, simpler time I asked, not if you're African American, not if you're gay, not if you're a woman, not if you're, any minority, basically. Like, come on. Like, humans, this is another TED Talk courtesy. People are terrible. History is terrible because people are terrible. But people are also beautiful and amazing and are capable of great acts of love. And we see all of that in The Cook, the Thief, his wife and her lover. And I love that because we do see the full range, because like there's that character Pop, who's the little like singing dishwasher boy. And like, that's a role. Like, and we've talked about that before the show, where it's like when you have kids in movies, that alone can be kind of dicey because if the kid's annoying, even when they're not supposed to be, that can kind of like put a damper on a movie. And Pop, you really do like, you don't want to see him mess with, because he really is like this little angel. Like, he's this like sweet kid. And it's just like, and that's the thing. There's so much, like, so many of the side like characters, even like the nurses in the hospital later on when Georgina goes to visit Pop. I mean, I don't think I feel like the last director I've seen that's like as good, like, or equally as good about both visual flair, but even having like a character that's on screen for like 2 seconds visually fit in with like a painter would do is Ken Russell. Like, because Ken Russell's a master of that too, where it's like you could be like a person in the background, but every single person is cast with such precision and has such a physical, like, visual appeal about them that it just kind of makes everything you're looking at even richer.
I've always thought of Greenaway as a restrained Ken Russell.
Oh, I love that. And God, I love Ken Russell.
Ken Russell cannot help himself. He's going to go further than anyone should. But Greenaway's, It was great. Like, let's keep it artistic, everybody.
I have an anarchic soul at heart. So God bless Ken Russell. If I ever had to get like tattoos like Cecil B. DeMille style, I would be very tempted to get a Ken Russell one. But Peter Greenaway, God, this is
you mentioned Pup, and I just want to bring that character up because here is a very definition of an angel in amongst all of this horrific nightmare, this dystopian kitchen. Side note, don't you think that this movie could be taking place in the same universe as Delicatessen?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Oh my God.
Okay, but so the angelic kid, he's singing a psalm. This is a boy soprano. They're leaning toward castrati here, but this is a boy soprano singing, and he's singing a psalm, which is effectively a call for God to take away one's sins. But it's said like the lyrics of the song themselves are like wash away my iniquity and anointment with hyssop. It sounds remarkably like a recipe, which I only noticed for the first time watching it again. Like even the call to God is somehow a preparation for a meal.
I love that. I know. I seriously, it made me want to Google what hyssop. It's because I hadn't seen that word. I think probably since like when I was like forced to read the Bible. But totally like a recipe. Also, God, that would be another great double feature because Delicatessen, and that's another film where like a lot of that cast would fit in, I think physically, just like facial feature wise so well with this movie. Yeah. Oh gosh, that's somebody have us do a film festival. Well, we'll program the hell out of it.
I think it's also funny, you mentioned, remembering, certain different times and the way that they're perceived. This movie nails the lavish nature of the 80s perfectly in the dining room. I mean, it is, like the set design is beyond. It's just I know everybody talks, Stanley Kubrick, he placed those cans of Calumet baking soda just right. And it made sure that it was indicative of the plight of the indigenous people. Like, okay, room 237, don't get ahead of yourself now. Peter Greenaway, I feel like this is that same thing, though, where it's like every singular minute fucking detail is taken into account. Again, because like you mentioned, Heather and Father Malone, every single shot is crafted in such a way that it is composed. Every shot is composed in this. And that's not necessarily something another director is going to even worry about because man, it's not easy. It's not easy to make a movie, but it's even harder to make a film where every single shot looks like a painting. Every single shot has thought and ideas put into it. And yeah, every lighting fixture is taken into account. The way the lights interact with the set is taken into account. Like it's the amount of time and effort put into this singular movie. It's exhausting to comprehend.
And that's indicative of all of his film. You mentioned Kubrick, and I think about Kubrick a lot when I think about Peter Greenaway. And I think Kubrick was obviously much more interested in narrative when it came to cinema, and more traditional, even as beautiful and spectacular and genius as Kubrick's movies are, they still sort of maintain the basic 3-act structure that you're going to get from any drama ever. Whereas Greenaway was less interested in that narrative, even though there's a very strong, easy narrative going on here. He's more interested in the way he's telling it, which is just as you said, Chris, measured as Kubrick is, as thoughtful. Like everything you can tell is placed there on purpose. But he's also willing to throw caution to the wind. Like if I were to recommend any other Peter Greenaway movie after this, I would recommend this first to anybody. It's his most accessible film, and I think it's his best film. But the one that actually tugs at my heart is a film called Drowning by Numbers. It's the film he did directly before this, which is effectively a story of 3 generations of women who are sick of their husbands and are going to dispose of them by drowning each of them. But it also is this weird, like, puzzle where he's hidden the numbers 1 to 100 in every scene and dares you to find them. Like, he's interested in doing that as well. He's interested in, showing you the artifice behind what's going on. So he's much more deconstructionist than Kubrick when it comes to the art of cinema. but to me, at least, as important, if not maybe more than Kubrick.
Greenaway writes his own stuff by himself, right? Like everything he's worked on.
Yeah, I mean, it's always inspired by something. Like Prospero's books is obviously The Tempest. And, he says that this is based on the old 'Tis a Pity She's a Whore play, but like only vaguely, I'll say. Yes,
you know where I'm going with that line of talking in terms of what your hot take was.
Yeah, no, they're whole cloth Peter Greenaways, whereas Kubrick, adapted books and, did whatever. And he did write by them. Look, they're apples and oranges. Not everything has to be a contest. They're like, they're both
true.
I love them both equally. But for me and for my postmodernist heart, and Peter Greenaway is nothing if not that, he speaks to me more profoundly than Kubrick does. The sort of the alienation that people complain about Kubrick's work, the sort of coldness that he comes to his characters with, a detachedness, that sort of they say plagues the Coen brothers as well, is absent to me in Peter Greenaway. He cares desperately for all of his characters, and I do with him.
Oh God. Yeah. This film, I wasn't, especially I wasn't expected to be moved to tears, but there I was. Helen Mirren, so much of that's her performance too, but just her depiction of just of the full realization when Michael, is gone, just, that hit hard that. And I'm not somebody that's as much as, art, I detest religion, but if I was religious, but I think it is art and expression, and that may sound pretentious, but fuck it. You feel what you feel. I'm not somebody who's easily weepy with films. And that just, I was just oh my God, that was so, and it just made me love this film even more because, man, the emotions you go through this whole film and that it brings to the table and the way it's done is so beautiful. And there is a purity about it. For as much artifice is going on, it's the humanity of the story and the humanity of the performances coupled with that is just banging.
Yeah, that scene, Helen Mirren, I think, carries the second half of the movie. I think Michael Gambon carries the first half of the movie because his performance really, there's almost again, because it's so theatrical in nature, that moment where he says, and I'll kill him and I'll eat him. That's the moment where the curtain comes down, intermission time, folks. And we come back to the story for the second half of the story. You know what I mean? There's that, the way he's even lit in that scene is very theatrical. And then it's, again, you could imagine curtains come down. Here's the intermission. We come back for the second half of the play. But the second half is, I feel so much Helen Mirren's movie because of her performance and everything that she has to do to get her character to the moment at the end of the movie where she makes the decision that she does. We have to see that with her performance. And the first half of the movie has been so much of her performance just doing, again, it's way harder what she's doing in the first half of the movie, which is, we've mentioned, a performance in silence with glances and looks, more physicality than necessarily delivered lines. But yeah,
well, you know what? In that half, you're right. I think I don't think it's actually harder in that first half because I think Georgina, no matter what's going on, is having the best time she's ever had in her entire life. The brutality that we see is normal for her.
Right.
So I don't, I'm not saying that Georgina is happy in those scenes, but she is, and I think some of that liveliness of her performance comes through. A lot of it actually does. I think the performance at the end is much more difficult, specifically the scene and the scene after you mentioned, Heather, after she finds Michael's body, it's the next morning. She confides in him all the horrible things that Albert had done to her in the past. And this is a confession that I don't think she was ever going to give him in the way that he said, early on, that a character talking would become boring and he didn't want to be that to her. I don't think she wanted to scare him away with how scarred she had been as a person. So it's extra heartbreaking that she's giving it to his corpse.
Yeah.
And it's that scene alone is I don't know. I can't say she's working harder in the first half of the movie than she's working during this scene. It's the whole movie to me. The scene afterwards between her and the chef, the cook, where she's imploring him to cook the body. That's what everyone takes away from that. But like, that scene is more about her trying to elicit acknowledgement that somebody saw the love, like that it will live on beyond her own recollection of it, which is important to her. And that those two scenes to me are beyond anything she does in any of the rest of the movie. Those two scenes might be better than anything she's done in the rest of her career, in my humble opinion.
And it has one of the best jokes in the entire movie, I feel, where she goes, no, I'm not going to eat him. I found that to be such a funny fucking line in this really emotionally intense scene, because she's like, oh, okay, you thought I was good. No. We're going to feed it to this asshole. He's going to finally get, and then he's like, okay. He's just like, there's no other words need to be said. Like, and that is genuinely, I laughed out loud. I was like, wow, movie, you did it. Like, it does that thing where it threads the needle so perfect, where there's the scene of intense emotion, and then it is put a button on with a genuinely funny like moment between two characters, a genuinely funny moment of misunderstanding about the consumption of who's truly eating this man's corpse. That's the problem here. It's who's eating it that it's the problem, ultimately.
That was on the speak.
Yeah.
Oh my God. The fact that he didn't even want to take her money. Because it's like, the only thing missing was him being, oh, are you kidding? I'll do that shit for free. Are you kidding?
Fucking favor to humanity at this point, for fuck's sake. God,
you know what? Even his skill in the culinary arts, do you think the body was actually quite delicious? It must have been, right? I mean, he would have prepared it to be.
Well, you know what they say about long pigs, don't you? Yeah. That human meat is the tastiest of meat. Like
Alan Howard makes a good suckling pig stand-in, right?
So terrible.
Now I'm grossed out. What is wrong with me?
Crispy. I mean, my interpretation was like a duck à l'orange at the end, like a crispy skin with lacquered on marmalade. Like, ugh, gross. But at the same time, it looks pretty good. Not gonna lie. Like, again, that was the intention. So
they say the most tastiest kind of pork is human pork.
Forbidden pork.
That's right. Yeah. Nobody worry. Okay. For the record, for Thanksgiving, I literally have a tofurkey vegan roast in my fridge. I'm a vegetarian because I think the last time I waxed rhapsodic about long pig on a podcast as a joke, I got a follow on Instagram from some kind of like cannibal themed podcast, but I don't know if it was about cannibal movies or cannibalists.
The idea of contributing to.
I just want to say, fine print. I don't eat people, but it is fun to talk about. And the fact that like they call humans long pigs, I think is it delights me. I have issues.
I like the way cannibalism is used in this movie, as it is like the fight for all of the things that have happened. That is the one bridge. That is the literal crossing of this movie's Rubicon, is the consumption of human flesh. And what's also ironic is there's actually 2 acts of cannibalism in this movie. One, and they're both forced, because Pup is forced to eat his own belly button, which is just like somehow the worst thing I didn't think anybody had ever done in a movie. But now I've seen it. And like, but it's forced cannibalism.
Forced cannibalism that he's forced to eat where he once ate from.
Right.
In the use. It's effectively like me eat his own mouth.
Yeah. Yeah. I hadn't even thought about it that way. Shit. God.
And and so cannibalism at the end is actually, any actual perfect movie has an inevitability to it. And this movie, which has been treating everything as either consumed or consumable, or one or the other, or eventually going to be there. Like, it's all meat and it's all going to decompose. It's all going to be consumed and then shat out. We're all going to make our way left and right down through the kitchen into the dining room and then back out again to the parking lot here. So yeah, of course, the body is going to be treated as everything else as in the movie, something to be taken pleasure in the eating of, even if it's the worst thing on earth and a perfect revenge.
And it's the first and only dead body in the entire movie. And that's the way the first and only dead body in the entire movie about food is treated. It makes perfect sense. Like you said, there's an inevitability to it. And again, like I mentioned with the idea that there could be an intermission when he says like, and I'll eat him. Like, you said it, you take the intermission. We know as the audience that it's coming. Hell or high water, there's going to be human meat in this man's mouth at the end of it.
And you know what? He kills Michael by making him eat pages of a book, making him eat those words. And then at the end, Albert himself has to eat his own. I'm going to kill him and I'm going to eat him. Yes, you are.
You did.
Before we wrap up, I will never forgive myself if I didn't mention a side note or a side character in this case. So Ian Dury is in this movie. And for everybody listening, you're like, who's Ian Dury, Heather? Come with me, children, real quick. On a musical journey, starting, going all the way back to pub rock in the 70s and then punk rock, post-punk, new wave, whatever you want to call it. Ian Dury is an awesome musician, and he also was in a number of acting roles in the 80s and 90s. He's in the Rutger Hauer film Split Second, which is a very full science fiction film. Ian Dury plays, I believe, is it Fletch? He's like an associate, and he looks like a fucking werewolf pimp in this movie. He's got long, kind of greasy black curly hair, this amazing facial hair, this shiny red coat, and he has the great line, Fitch. He's Mr. Fitch. So they're like, I can't take no more jumpy whores.
I thought you were going to say it was the line of, gotta have a nice girls in here for my daughter. None of that smut or filth or whatever he says. Is like, man, I think we might have found a guy who's second to Albert Spica.
No. He's way better. He's way better than Albert. But Albert did crack me up though, where he's, because Fitch is complaining about, I don't want it noisy. And he's like, was it like, do you want mute nuns or something? Like something like, because he wanted it classy. But Ian Dury's not in the film for very long, but I thrive and live for this shit, to quote Vin Diesel from Triple X. And I live for Ian Dury, as everybody should. Hit me with your rhythm stick, indeed. So that is
also in Judge Dredd.
I wish you guys mentioned before the recording. Yeah. I confuse Judge, like the Stallone Judge Dredd with Demolition Man.
Well, they're very, very similar.
I'm like, what?
They are.
Yeah.
Because I'm like,
over Sheen.
I know. Well, I'm like, which one has Taco Bell? And I'm like, oh, it's Demolition Man.
Demolition Man is clever. That one was written by Daniel Waters. I take back what I said. They're not written by the same people.
No, Judge Dredd is not a good movie.
Judge Dredd is a terrible movie with a really good performance by Armand Assante. I'll stand by it.
I love Armand Assante.
That was the one time we got to interview Armand Assante, was for Judge Dredd.
Holy shit. You can
Sure. That was 2015, 2016. Yeah. I love that movie. Armand Assante going, is really just the best line reading of that word ever. Like, if there were like a dictionary of film words and like the best way it's ever been delivered, the word law being delivered by Armand Assante opposite Sylvester Stallone, having to one up Stallone, really. Like, he went over the top in that moment, really. So,
he's perfect in that.
I bet
he'll never give a better performance than that. It's perfect. Yeah. It's way better than the movie. You wish you could pull him out and put it into a better Judge Dredd movie.
Yeah. But Demolition Man is the better of the two. And yeah, the send a maniac to catch a maniac, also a great line delivered by Sylvester Stallone. But I do like the character of Fitch, because he's again, like, I genuinely feel like if the movie had then gone and followed him, we would see like, this guy is probably as big a deplorable piece of shit as Spica in just a different way, because this guy has his like family at dinner with him, and it's like, whoa, this guy's weird in a different direction. Like, he's fucked up in a different angle than Spica is, because this guy has, like, instead of just being like, again, Spica with his own predilections, like, this guy has his own thing. So it's like, what would that be? But again, testament to Peter Greenaway for like making a movie where almost every single character you want to spend more time with them, other than that one character that Michael Gambon plays, because we spend more time with him than almost anybody else. So
I don't know. It's almost like maybe Fitch, it's like, going back to Henry, it's like the Henry Otis factor, because Otis was always what bothered me the most of the two. Like, and Tom Toll's like the range on that guy. I love him so much. He is so fucking creepy. Like, that like, Otis makes Henry look kind of better, even though Henry's fucked up and he's a killer. And it's almost like maybe Fitch is like that. Like Fitch is, I mean, yeah, if he's an associate of Spica, of Albert, then he's a piece of shit. But it's like maybe comparatively, he just seems like, well, he probably doesn't beat his wife. And that's like the standards we have.
Very low.
Bare minimum. You shouldn't be beating your wife, dude. What do you want, a cookie?
Yeah. I'm really glad we watched this movie though. I'm glad I finally saw this movie because this movie will probably live rent free in my head for quite some time. I've already watched it 3 times, and again, like I was talking with my folks about it because they're here. My dad was like, "Is that the movie you were talking about?" Because it was like paused on my computer. It was Alan Howard and Helen Mirren were in the throes of lovemaking on my computer. My dad like walked around. He's like, "Oh, is that the thing you were talking about?" I was like, "Sure is." This movie where there's a lot going on all the time. But you know what? I miss movies like this. But you know what? That's not really a thing because like there aren't many. But when you find them, you kind of want to hold on to them. Like anything else, like what this movie talks about. When you find these things in life that are worth getting excited about or worth investing time in or worth sharing with other people, and you know, sharing personal stories or anecdotes or opinions, you want to talk about it and you want to share it and you want to engage and make it something that you can not only, you know, talk about yourself, but hopefully have other people enjoy and like as well. And this is a movie that, it's like, it's hard for me to suggest it to people because I don't know who would like it. But if you watched it and you enjoyed it, we're probably going to get along in terms of our like thoughts and beliefs on cinema, probably, or at least our ability to enjoy this kind of cinema, which is, again, it's not for everybody, but for the people that it's for, like I'm here, we're here. This is high level filmmaking done really well.
Amen.
Yeah.
I'm going to kick it to you, Father Malone. Final thoughts.
There aren't many perfect movies, but this is definitely one of them. I think it's an important film. I think it's I don't know. It's hard to say anything after saying it's a perfect film. Honestly, I think it's definitely worth checking out. I don't know how available it is, as you mentioned earlier, Heather. Like I don't know. Like, but it's definitely one you should see if you're going to see anything of Peter Greenaway's. See this one, but then check out everything else because it's never not fascinating. But this to me is the sort of pinnacle of his achievement. I loved it in 1990. I thought it spoke to me then, and it spoke to the times then. Upon revisiting it 17 years later, same thing. And now again in 2023, same thing. It is absolutely relatable, and it is and it speaks to me on a level of appreciation of cinema that made me appreciate cinema, if that makes sense.
100%.
Yeah. What about you, Heather?
When people talk about cinema, this is a film that should come to your mind. This is cinema in all of its high, wiggling, thriving, pulsating, lush potential. I cannot recommend it enough. I mean, seek this out. As Father Malone said, seek out Peter Greenaway. And especially because I think a lot of times it's so easy to get locked into like, what is the current thing? And if you're like a little bored with things, don't let cynicism overtake you. Like seek stuff out and seek this out. And it doesn't seem to be in print in the US right now, but it is attainable. And so definitely seek it out. And enjoy.
Yeah, I'm gonna obviously echo what y'all said. I mean, the fact that it's hard to find is an unfortunate reality of the times that we live in, given that you would think everything is available. But, you know, I mean, you can find it on the internet, folks. You're resilient, if anything. If you listen to this show, you're not going to be stopped by it not being on streaming. I would fucking hope. And you shouldn't, because this is a movie worth finding.
Chris, I got to jump in because here's one tidbit that I forgot to mention. Evidently, in 2014 in Baltimore, there was a stage production of The Cook, the Thief, His Wife, and Her Lover, in which it was a dinner theater. It was 4 courses served while they performed This Around You. I can only imagine. The review I read was light on details, but overall, that this was really good. So I would like to see this done a lot, and I would like to go a lot.
Is this like Michael Gambon's role is the role that any actor would want to play? like, I don't know how to put this, but if I were an actor and I wanted to be in a movie and I read this script, there's only one role I want to play, and it's Michael Gambon's character, period. Like, it's everything you would ever want from a role. It's it's one of the most dynamic roles I've ever seen. And if you could see that in person, yeah, holy shit, what would that be like? Like, nutzoid.
So each of the characters, when Peter Greenaway wrote the script, are named for the actors he wanted. So the cook, Richard, is the actor he wanted playing that role. Obviously, he did not get either the wife, who is named Georgina. I forget the actress.
Georgina Hale, who is in Ken Russell's The Devils.
There you go. And but the character of Michael, the lover, was named for the actor he wanted, who's also in the movie, just not in that role, Michael Gambon.
I cannot. Yeah, I saw that, and I cannot imagine. But I think it's because Michael Gambon is so definitive, Albert, and that it'd be like finding out that Bela Lugosi was going to play Renfield. It's not that he couldn't do it.
Right.
It's just he's iconic.
I think he would shine in the Michael role as well. It's just that, who would you put against him? Who would be a threat to him?
Yeah. And boy, what intensity? You'd have a different kind of intensity, I'm assuming. I don't know. Like, again, like, to both of your points, like, the idea of anybody else playing this character is kind of wild to me, because it is such Michael Gambon, and that's it. Like, I couldn't. Yeah. I don't know. Like, I think for me, yeah, you've both mentioned it. Like, this is a perfect movie. This is a movie that deserves to be watched it outside of a film class, but definitely in a film class, regardless of what they're teaching, composition, screenwriting, direction, whatever it is. This movie, I think, checks every single fucking box possible, on top of being a film that cares about the composition of the shot. Like, there are plenty of great movies that are great for plenty of other reasons, and composition of shot isn't one of them. But this movie is so intense in its focus on everything. Everything feels so, again, well manicured, well maintained, that it's Kubrickian in its level of focus. But I think, to Father Malone's previous point, one might say Greenaway is just as apt a fucking way of looking at it, because there's so much in this movie going on that we could have talked about, didn't, and maybe to do another episode in the future about another Peter Greenaway movie. This movie will probably come up again, if not doing an entire month of Peter Green. But I'm glad I watched it. This is, again, another movie that, like, it's going to live rent-free in my head for quite some time, just like Babette's Feast, in terms of the themes, in terms of the quality of the filmmaking. And yeah, I mean, one of the great film villains, like the great, again, like, that's the thing. Where are these lists that are being made? Go watch this fucking movie and then put him anywhere other than in the top 3. Like, Darth Vader's a great film villain. Is he, though? Like, compared to this? Like, is anything as good as this? Like, I know it's hard for, like, I know I'm being hyperbolic, but maybe not. I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, because you said, like,
movies. Watch more movies. They're all available.
Seriously. Like, expand your vocabulary, expand the vernacular, feed your intellectual curiosity for the love of all that is good and unholy. Fucking feed your mind, Alice.
Yeah. So on that note, let's take a break and we'll play a preview for the final Culture Cast of November.
C'est fantastique, chef.
A top chef,
Merveille.
at the height of his career, is running out of inspiration.
Qu'est-ce que vous avez mis dans les assiettes
Cette cuisine a pu évoluer. C'est un peu préhistorique.
Je n'y arrive pas.
A dreamer who can't get a job
Attends, c'est le 4e restaurant qui te vire ce mois-ci.
has more ideas than he can cook.
C'est servi avec des frites? Et que je te revois plus avec...
In a cutthroat business, competitors will eat your lunch.
Si tu perds une étoile, je vais confier le cargo Lagarde à Cyril.
Hello, Alexandre. Faut que tu viennes manger chez moi. J'ai des mousses de radis phosphorescentes, des entrecôtes effervescentes et des glaçons de poulet de Bresse. Génial. Je suis cuit.
But the best flavors
Ça, incroyable.
are always unexpected.
Qui a fait ça? Tu vois le peintre là-bas?
Bonjour.
Le peintre?
Together, they have a perfect palette.
C'est du turbo rôti, une sauce tomate olive, au radis daikon, un peu trop grillé, beaucoup trop grillé.
A sharp tongue.
Alexandre, je ne vous laisserai pas gâcher cette côte de bœuf.
And a taste for romance.
Ton gâteau préféré, je t'ai fait un cœur en sucre vanille. On peut plus, il manque de pralines et Smilf.
Dans 4 jours, j'ai des critiques au cargo. Ce sont des adeptes de la cuisine moléculaire. Adieu à la 3e étoile.
Je connais quelqu'un. Réaction chimique normale.
J'ai oublié ce que j'aime le plus, toi et faire la cuisine.
Le Chef.
That's right. On the final Culture Cast in November, we're talking about The Chef from 2012, which is probably just a movie. You know what I mean? It's just a movie that came out. I believe it has Jean Reno in it, who, you know, one of the best parts of Godzilla 1999, if any Godzilla 1999 aficionados are out there.
Hank Azaria.
Also good in that movie. One of Hank Azaria's few starring roles at the time in terms of being on screen as opposed to doing the voice for Mo Sizlak. And on that episode, I'm going to be joined by none of those people but Jess Byard. So until then, Heather, where can people find you and the things that you work?
Well, you can find me over at my website, mondoheather.com, where I recently wrote an article about the 1987 shot-on-video horror film Splatter Farm, made by the Polonias and Todd Michael Smith. And that was a lot of fun. And I think definitely, hopefully, encourages people. I think sometimes people get very locked into like film being on film, but there are some stuff shot on video. I used to be a snob too, but I love this film. Of course, you can find me at my Linktree, where you see links to other podcasts I'm on. I am very blessed to get to co-host the Noise Junkies music podcast, the only music podcast you should listen to. That's not true. Listen to other ones. But you know who's going to take care of you, and that's going to be myself, the great Father Malone, and our brother in arms, HP. So yeah, linktree.com /Mondo Heather.
What about you, Father Malone?
You can find all my stuff at fathermalone.com. But if you want to hear any of the podcasts I work on, like Noise Junkies or Dark Destinations, it's a half-hour radio drama I write and produce that I'm working on right now. That'll be out probably the first of the year, I think, probably. But anyway, I don't want to promise anything. But you can also check out a podcast I do with Chris and Mike White from the projection booth called Midnight Viewing, the horror anthology podcast. We are currently midway or 2/3 of the way through Rod Serling's Night Gallery, and we'll be tackling Tales from the Dark Side after that. So that's what I'm working on. That's where you can find me.
The easiest of pivots, one might say. Just keep on going down horror anthology lane, babe.
Absolutely.
I love it. As Father Malone just mentioned, weirdingwaymedia.com is all the things I work on audio-wise, and you can't find my stuff anywhere else. I'm on X or Twitter. Not on X. I wish I was, but I'm on Twitter. Every time everybody says, like, I'm on X, it's like, but you're not. And you'd be a lot more fun if you were at the moment. No, I'm on Twitter or whatever the fuck. But if you want to follow me there, cool. But culturecast.com, patreon.com/culturecast, places you can go to help the show financially, engage, and like, rate, and review the show wherever you get it, which is more than like iTunes. So yeah, Heather, Father Malone, thank you both so much for joining me. This has been a lot of fun. I'm glad that we were able to talk about this movie together and enjoy it, having never seen it, but also, talk about a movie that, deserves to be part of a bigger conversation, more conversations, and maybe Peter Greenaway month coming soon in the near future. Who knows?
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And as always, we'll catch you on the next episode.